Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another video. Today we're going over fantasy football players that are ready to explode. We got 10 players we're about to go over today, starting with number 1, Justin Herbert. Now, hopefully you guys are getting him in the 4th or even possibly the 5th round in your redraft league, such as ESPN. He's probably going a little bit higher in best ball, and of course he's going higher in 2 quarterback superflex leagues, but for your normal leagues, hopefully you're getting him in the 4th or 5th round. We're looking at a floor of about 4,500 yards with Justin Herbert if he is healthy, which of course last season he was not. He played since week 2 with a fractured rib and also had a torn labrum in his left shoulder. Now you might think to yourself, okay, Justin Herbert throws right-handed. Why does that really matter? Well, it certainly has an effect on your mental health and definitely his running ability. All right. He had 0 rushing touchdowns in 2022 because of that. He had 3 in 2021 and he had 5 in 2020. So this is a guy that's not afraid to punch it in the end zone if need be. Last season, he couldn't do that at all for you, and that really limits the upside potential for quarterbacks. Right now, at the current point in time, he is fully healthy, and he has one of the best receiving cores in the entire league. Keenan Allen, Mike Williams, Quentin Johnston, who is also supposed to be amazing after the catch, by the way. The Chargers ranked 2nd in passing plays per game last season, and Herbert ranked 2nd in pass attempts last year, which obviously he has the opportunity to thrive. It was just a matter of he was injured. Okay. A lot of people are overlooking the fact that he was injured and letting him slip too far down draft boards. Do not do that. Also, his fantasy points per game didn't match his expected fantasy points per game last season, which should have been number 8 in the league. He ended up as number 15th in the league. Also, he has a great schedule to start out the year, going up against Miami, Tennessee, Minnesota, and Las Vegas, all teams that give up a ton of points. And it gets a little iffy around the playoffs, I'm not going to lie. He ends up playing Buffalo towards the latter portion of the season and also Denver. But at least he's going to get you to that point, all right? At least he's going to win you those regular season games that you need. And who knows, even Buffalo's defense and Denver's defense could crap the bed by the end of the year. So Justin Herbert is looking like a solid option, ready to explode this season. Number 2 on our list is Daniel Jones. Now, I think way too many people are sleeping on Daniel Jones, in my opinion. You guys might say, hey, buddy, this guy has no receivers. And I would agree with you, other than potentially Jalen Hyatt. But last year, who did he have? Who did he have last year either, other than Saquon Barkley, catching passes out of the backfield? This year, he has Darren Waller. He has Jalen Hyatt, who could potentially step up in his rookie season. Isaiah Hodgins isn't horrible. And then, of course, you still got the dump down machine in Saquon Barkley. Now, the real reason that I like Daniel Jones is his legs are going to win you games. All right. Whereas other quarterbacks in his ADP range cannot do that as well. Some names that come to mind personally are Dak Prescott. You know, he's extremely unreliable when it comes to quarterback play in fantasy football. And then Aaron Rodgers also comes to mind. A lot of people are jumping on Aaron Rodgers just because of the Garrett Wilson connection, and I understand the hype. I'd probably rather have Daniel Jones than Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers provides no upside with his legs, whereas Daniel Jones can rush 10, 12 times a game. So why would you not want that upside? He's also ranked number 1 in true completion percentage and number 3 in red zone completion percentage in 2022. And he's top 5 in every rushing category for QBs. So, like I said, the real reason that you're drafting Daniel Jones in the first place is for that running upside. And I do like him as a player. I think he could go off again and surprise a lot of people this upcoming season. Player number 3 on our list is David Montgomery. All right, he's going from a Bears team that struggled to move the ball most times to a Lions team who will have no trouble doing that at all. These are 2 opposite teams here. He's going to receive most of the goal line carries. Now, all the talk of the offseason has been about Jahmyr Gibbs, right? David Montgomery is getting lost in this talk. But like I said, he's going to get the goal line carries. He's going to get most of these carries in this offense. Jahmyr Gibbs is mainly used for the passing work, I would expect at least. Now, both are expected to be on the field in 2 running back formations very often, by the way. All right, they've already came out and said that. Back in 2020, David Montgomery eclipsed 1,000 yards and averaged 17.7 fantasy points per game. That wasn't too long ago. And he's still young at 26 years old. He still has the potential and plenty left in the tank to provide fantasy value. Lions are also top 10 in run blocking and have the easiest running back strength of schedule this entire year. That's why I'm in on David Montgomery. I think he's going to explode here. Number 4, Isaiah Pacheco. Pacheco is being overlooked a lot, especially in PPR leagues, because McKinnon is going to be out there a lot. And I understand this. And I've said this often, but if McKinnon wasn't in this offense, I can see Pacheco being top 15 for running backs throughout the entire year. Doesn't matter if it's PPR, doesn't matter if it's standard leagues. He's a very efficient runner, averaging 4.9 yards per carry on a Chiefs team. Puts up a ton of points throughout the course of the season. Like, there's going to be touchdowns to go around to every member of this team, and Pacheco should get his throughout the year. Now, if you block out the first 10 weeks of last season, because he was a rookie, weeks 11 through 18, he averaged 12.35 fantasy points per game. All right, that's a lot better than some of the running backs going around him. Now, this year, if you guys already haven't drafted, or you probably drafted him right around the range of players such as Dalvin Cook, who is, a little bit older now, Cam Akers, who is on just a poor overall team. The team situation doesn't even match up. And then Khalil Herbert. We don't even know if he's going to be the starter of this team. You got Donta Foreman, Roshan Johnson. So those are a lot worse situations than Pacheco is in. All right, Pacheco's going into his second year, usually the breakout year for most players. So I expect him to take a step up here on this Chiefs offense. Number 5, RHAMONDRE Stevenson. Now, all anybody has to say when RHAMONDRE's name comes up is, well, Zeke is there now, so I'm not taking RHAMONDRE. Zeke's going to really eat into his workload. I don't think that's the case. I think that's an invalid argument because Zeke is there to take Damian Harris's role. A lot of people don't understand that. They think, because Zeke is a bigger name than Damian Harris, he's going to get a lot more work. I don't think Bill Belichick will roll that way, to be honest, although he does like having 2 running backs in his system. Now, I would like Stevenson, obviously, more if Zeke wasn't there. Sure, but I'm not counting on RHAMONDRE, finishing out of the top 10. I think he could easily finish in the top 10 running backs once again. He averaged 5.0 yards per carry last season. It was number 4 in running back receptions, number 3 in juke rate and evaded tackles, and he actually underperformed compared to his expected fantasy points last year. So he should have actually had more. Now, if we take away the first couple of weeks of last season where he was still proving himself, he still needed to really break into that RB1 role on this Patriots team, he would have averaged over 15 points very easily. Also, I love when, even if the run game isn't working for this Patriots team, he is so effective in the pass game. He gets those dump offs and screens all day long. Even when the Patriots couldn't score a single point last year, especially in that Jets game, RHAMONDRE still had a fantasy viable game, which is very, very reassuring to see when you're drafting a guy, 3rd, 4th round of your fantasy draft. Number 6 on our list, Amari Cooper. He has been very consistent, achieving 1,000 yards in 6 out of 8 of his seasons in the league so far. Last year, he pulled this feat off, achieving 1,000 yards with Jacoby Brissett at quarterback, and then he had a mediocre Deshaun Watson, to say the least, the last few weeks of the season. This year, Watson should be much more improved, all right? Their chemistry should be a lot better. They look good in camp and preseason together, all right? Cooper had that long catch in preseason. He had about 50 yards on 3 catches, I believe, in his last game. Now, he has the potential for huge games throughout the season. We saw this in weeks 5, 8, 11, and 17 last year. These were all massive games for Cooper. He just needs to be more consistent, and that's what we want to see heading into this season. I think this is his best chance to do that. All right, number 7 on this list, I debated on even putting on here because I don't really try to put elite level talents that are pretty obvious to explode in the upcoming season, but Jaylen Waddle I had to put on here. He's an absolute stud when him and Tua are on the field and both healthy. Now, this Dolphins team is an absolute nightmare for opposing cornerbacks. All right, you got the number 1 cornerback probably guarding either Tyreek Hill or Jaylen Waddle. You don't even know who to put him on because it doesn't matter. The other guy's just going to cook the other defender, and they're going to score almost every single time. Now, Jaylen Waddle ranked 1st in yards per target and yards per reception last season, and Tua was clearly not healthy. He wasn't all there. I mean, how can you be all there when you're worried about getting another concussion and potentially your career ending? He also ranks top 3 in fantasy points per target at 2.23 points. So that's obviously solid. Probably a very early 3rd round pick in your fantasy drafts, but he's got to be worth it. He can easily finish top 5. All right, top 5, top 3 even, if he stays healthy. Number 8 today, Brandon Ayuk. Listen, we just got to give this dude the ball, and he's going to make huge plays happen almost every single time. All right, the only problem here in this situation is targets. Just like so many other players around the league where they don't receive enough targets, Drake London comes to mind, Kyle Pitts, so many examples like that. With Debo, McCaffrey, and Kittle on the team, way too many people are turned off of Ayuk, but it still doesn't scare me, to be honest with you. When McCaffrey came to the 49ers, Debo was the guy that actually regressed while Ayuk stepped into that role and became even more consistent. I think we see more of the same this season, so I don't have any problem starting Brandon Ayuk, especially in your flex position towards the middle, late portion of the season, and even early, I guess. Throw him in there early. Why not? Number 9 on our list today, we have Mark Andrews. Now, he was injured on and off last season, and also Lamar was injured for the second half of the season. If we go back to 2021, he was the number 1 fantasy tight end in the entire league. Over Travis Kelce. I know, it's crazy. I know, that doesn't even seem possible. I feel like Travis Kelce led the league, in fantasy points for tight ends for the past 10 years. That's what it just seems like. But he was number 1 in receptions, receiving yards, unrealized air yards, targets, and red zone targets back in 2021. Even with the addition of Zay Flowers and Odell Beckham Jr. in Baltimore, Andrews is still going to be the guy for Lamar. They have the connection, they have the chemistry. It's already all there. All right. It just was, they were both injured last season. That was the problem. With a much improved offense, it's going to also mean less coverage on Andrews, more coverage on Zay Flowers. They're going to be worried about the deep ball with Flowers and Odell. So it's going to distract defenses and open up the field more for Andrews and Lamar to, get that chemistry back and destroy defenses. Last but not least, I had to throw a wild card on here at number 10, Brandin Cooks. All right, for having 1,000 yards receiving in 6 out of the 9 seasons he's been in the league so far, you wouldn't expect him to be passed around so much, but he's just going to every different team. He's been on 5 teams now. This is going to be his 5th team this year on a high-powered offense, and last year you could clearly tell that he was unhappy with his situation in Houston. I don't blame him at all. Now, I believe that's why he had the regression last season. I think he's going to have a bounce-back year here. He is now on the opposite side of CeeDee Lamb in this Dallas Cowboys offense, who is not afraid to throw the ball. We've seen that in the past. I would look out for Cooks to be a solid flex option this year, maybe wide receiver 2 upside, especially in the beginning portion of the year, as long as he can stay healthy. Anyways, guys, if you enjoyed this video, drop a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel if you're new. We are coming out with fantasy content almost every single day once the season starts. So yeah, hit that subscribe button. I'll catch you later. Peace.